I am totally busted. Seth just posted a video about riding e-bikes, and I was seen in that video riding an e-bike. And yes, it is true, I've been secretly testing an e-bike, but it's not this one.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you.
So I'm out on my final ride on my secret e-bike. I'm actually a little bit sad. Here, listen, I'm gonna go on the fastest mode. Whoa! Now, I can't tell you about this specific e-bike legally, but what I can say is my perspective on e-bikes has changed forever. See, I'm not an e-bike hater, and you can look back on all my videos. I don't think I've said anything bad about e-bikes before, but until last month, I had never even taken a pedal on an e-bike before. And the reason why is I was scared. Scared of the stereotypes, getting addicted to the power of the motor, getting lazy, fat. But now that I've ridden one, there's some positives, but also some negatives that I didn't know about.
When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you.
All right, like I was saying, this is not my secret e-bike, but this one has a flat, so let's fix that. I'm borrowing this bike from Polygon, the Polygon CISK T6E, and I guess it's considered to be like a budget e-bike at $3,500. This bike is pretty nice. We got the Shimano motor here with like a 500 and something watt-hour battery, 150, 140 travel, and a Dior 10-speed, which is actually a good thing. The reason why it's just a loaner, well, I'm still not sold on e-bikes. So somehow I was asked to prototype a new e-bike, and it's a pretty serious project. I even had to sign an NDA, so legally, I can't even talk about it. So I basically asked Polygon if I could borrow this bike so I could make this video and share my honest opinion on e-bikes, and I haven't even got to set up this bike yet. Oh man, I wish I could have shared my reaction to the first time I took a pedal on an e-bike. And that's why I've been holding out on e-bikes for the last 3 years, is I wanted to share it with you guys, my first reaction. But this prototype opportunity was too good to pass up, and it's from a brand that's legit and not even on the market yet. But it basically went like this. Whoa! All right, this bike is totally ready to go now, so let's go ride.
If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I heaver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's heavering to you.
Oh yeah, this bike is feeling really good. I ended up swapping out the fork actually because the Suntour fork that it came with, I just couldn't get it dialed in. Now that this bike is primed and ready to go, I'm gonna start by sharing the 3 positives about e-bike, but my opinions on these e-bikes are probably different from what you've heard before. All right, this is the new trail for adaptive bikes, and it's got some really good turns. And this is what I like about e-bikes, is leaning this thing over. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, right here, just leaning this thing over. Oh. I think it's because the center of gravity is much lower. It's so rewarding to lean these things over. Look at this flat turn. Yeah. Man, it's just so planted. It's awesome. I know it sounds weird that a bike that's like 50 plus pounds handles well and can turn well, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. It is so much fun. And what it's also good at, it's handling chunk and just plowing straight through it. I'm gonna have to take it easy though, as my tire is just a trail casing, not double down, no cush core. because I don't want to destroy this wheel. It's not technically my bike yet, but I might want to keep this thing. I have to ask Polygon. Pretty fun. All right, here comes some chunk. Yeah, it plows so well. But I definitely find myself riding chunk way more than jumps. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Yeah, I got a flat. No! Can you hear that? No! It's over. Oh man, I freaking messed up the rim so bad. I was not planning on that to happen. I think I just split the rim at the seam, dented it, and even I have a flat now. So I wasn't planning on talking about the negatives about these e-bikes just yet, but that is definitely one of the negatives. Is these huge Goliath bikes are using mountain bike parts that are made for 30-pound bikes, and these are 50-pound bikes. So the parts, the drivetrain, the wheels, everything is under way more stress. And I'm gonna go ahead and just jump straight into tomorrow, because I have some e-bike specific stuff that will hopefully hold up a little bit better. Okay, so I got totally carried away fixing that cracked rear wheel. And I had no intentions of making this a full-on upgrade video. But here it is, my fully upgraded Polygon CISK T6E. So it all started with this wheel. I was saying that these e-bikes use regular bike parts and they don't hold up that well, but I actually had an e-bike specific wheel set on hand. Plus this is a double down tire with an e-bike cush core, so this wheel should be bomb proof. To use it, I had to convert to a 12 speed because of the driver body, but then I couldn't use a Fox fork. The e-bike rear wheel is a 27.5, making this bike now a mullet. Well, that fancy Fox fork was 160 millimeters travel, and this is made for a 150, so the geometry was all wonky. So I stole my Zeb Ultimate off the common saw, and I converted the travel down to 150 by swapping out the air spring. At this point, I was already in it way too deep, and I would have loved to make a separate video upgrading this bike, but I mean, everything had been upgraded at this point, so I decided to do the final upgrade, and I stole the Fox Flow X off my Canyon. I pulled out the travel reducers and did a little greasing up, and now I'm left with a fully upgraded e-bike, and I am just so pumped on how this turned out. But that brings me to one of the biggest negatives about e-bikes, is that they wear through parts way faster, especially the drivetrain. And the other week when I was getting drone footage for my Seth collab video, I was in the town over. Well, after I did my drone footage, I ended up snapping my chain and I didn't have anything to fix it. So I ended up pushing my bike back like 5 miles to get back to the car. All the torque from these really powerful motors put onto a drivetrain that hangs off a skinny little piece of metal. You have to be really careful when you're shifting these things. I'm also seeing a ton of wear with my rear tire. I mean, this tire is only a month old. And if you want an e-bike, I would definitely factor in that the upkeep cost is gonna be much higher. And look, you're probably gonna be breaking parts and having your e-bike out of commission for extended periods, because these bikes are far from perfect. But enough talking, it's time to ride. All right, we've done 2 positives, 1 negative, but the last positive is by far the most important. So usually I like to ride for 3 hours, anything less than that, and I'm kind of unfulfilled. But the problem with that is when I do ride for 3 hours, I am just so exhausted and I'm wiped out for the rest of the day. But with an e-bike, I can ride for the same amount of time, 3 hours, which is pretty much how long the battery lasts, and then I can go home and be a good dad and play with my kids. There's actually science behind that, and it's this thing called Zone 2 training. But Zone 2 is based off your power or your heart rate, and the easiest way to describe it is like a light, low effort ride where you can easily talk like I am now. Wait, what are they doing over there? I found a way to justify this e-bike, and it might be mental gymnastics, you tell me. So you're gonna wanna hold on tight for this one. I look at this e-bike as a training tool, not to be lazy and fly up the climbs. So what I like to do is ride this e-bike like a regular bike uphill. So what I do is I put it in trail mode and I just climb at normal speeds as regular bikes. And I found that's pretty much the best way to ride these things. But let's talk about negative number 2, and this is one that really bums me out. Okay, this is a flow trail called Catapult. Yeah. And this is where these e-bikes really are not good. So normally, on a regular bike, I don't have to pedal at all. But you would think with these heavy e-bikes, they would maintain momentum, but they just feel like they have so much rolling resistance. And I really have to work for it if I want to ride this e-bike fast on these flow trails. I mean, my heart's like 180 usually. Woo! Yeah, I'm going so slow, man. Ugh. So if my intention is to use this bike as a training tool, I have to stick to zone 2. I can't be working super hard just to clear some jumps. So when I started e-biking, I quickly came to the realization that I just have to avoid jumping and stick to chunk and single track. And when I found that out, that e-bikes aren't these perfect bikes where you can just go 20 miles an hour uphill and just have a blast downhill, well, I was pretty bummed out. And to be honest, e-bikes make me miss my regular bike like a lot. But let me go find a spot where I can show you guys the last negative. Okay, speaking of turbo mode, it's actually pretty scary. At this point, I've probably done like 10 e-bike rides, so I'm really sticking to this opinion. And I don't like turbo mode. It's not because of fitness or being lazy or whatever. It's because it hurts. All right, here, let me show you. I have it in boost or turbo mode, and I'm flying uphill. Oh, yeah, it's like these trails are not made for it. I feel like I just pulled my shoulder out of the socket. And every time I'm uphill going fast and I hit a root, it's like, it just hurts my hands, my wrists, all that. And I think it's because, going uphill with this bike being so heavy and also accelerating, I'm weighting the rear end like all the way, and then the fork has no pressure on it. So I'm just kind of pinging off the rocks, but I am open to ideas of how I can make this bike super fast uphill and not hurt my hands. I've tried a couple different things where I let out air out of the fork, but then I'm bottoming out all the time. And then I could technically, lean way forward, but this is not how I want to be climbing all the time. So I'm not sure what to do. Oh yeah, this is where they're fun though. Oh, oh, I love these e-bikes on single track. Yeah. So before I got an e-bike, I'd watch Bobo joke around about how on an e-bike it's just so much fun hitting jumps uphill. And then I got on one and I found out that that's not the case. Okay, I'm gonna try to find an uphill jump. Oh, no way. Man, all the effort, but I still couldn't do it. So I pretty much come to the conclusion, no turbo mode uphill for me. Yeah, this is a good pace though. Heart rate 130, just chilling. So do I recommend e-bikes? Well, yes and no, but I do have a disclaimer. Look, if you want an e-bike, you're gonna find a way to get an e-bike, but these things are expensive. This being one of the cheapest ones on the market and it's still 3,500 bucks. I mean, that's a good chunk of change. And what I don't think is a good idea is to take a loan out for a bike. After my first few e-bike rides, I didn't even think e-biking was for me. But once I figured out how to ride these e-bikes, I feel like it's gonna be a great training tool for me, and it's gonna be in addition to my regular bike riding, and that's gonna lead to me just getting a lot faster, getting more fit. So I think I am gonna keep this e-bike, but I gotta stick to the plan and use it as a training tool, stick to zone 2, and also treat this bike like a delicate little baby, or else it's gonna be breaking all the time. And a huge thanks to Bikes Online and Polygon for sending me this bike. And if you wanna check it out for yourself, I'll have a link in the description. But I know e-bikes are super polarizing. Everybody has an opinion about one. So let me know your thoughts down below. Are you for or against e-bikes? And am I just coping with this thing being a training tool? Let me know in the comments. But hey, I still got a lot of battery left, so I'm gonna keep riding. See ya. Oh, hey, look, Berm Creek. Don't mind if I do. Yeah. See how this is on an e-bike. Oh, yeah. Pretty good.